Hi, Patrick with Deere Country Farm and Lawn here. Today we're going to talk about the differences between the John Deere 1025R with a 120R loader and the new Kubota BX2680 with the LA344 loader. Comparisons between John Deere and Kubota, especially in this frame size subcompact tractor, are age old. Kubota had a major revamp last year and it's worth revisiting again. I'll try to do my best to be as unbiased as possible, being a John Deere dealer, and give you my opinion of the facts. Let's start off with some of the age-old comparisons that always happen with these brands. I'll give you my take on them. First one I want to talk about is the plastic John Deere versus the metal Kubota. I think the longevity of both these materials is probably over-exaggerated by both brands and a lot of people involved. Pretty unusual for a tree to fall on any of these, and you're in trouble regardless of what it's made out of if that happens. The more realistic view of it is branches as you're going through the woods or up near a bush in your yard. How is that going to impact the material? Scratches lead to rust, so that's something to think about. Plastic tends to do better in those scenarios because it can't rust. But with that said, I think regardless of whether you get scratches or you have something fall on the hood, the biggest factor in the longevity of the body of your machine is not necessarily the material it's made out of, it's the ownership upkeep. So are you keeping it in a garage or a shed, or are you storing it outdoors in the weather? We've traded these in new and old alike and seen them in all kinds of different condition, and that really is the biggest impact on whether plastic or metal lasts longer, is who owned it before and how they took care of it. Another point to hone in on quickly is the pedals that each company uses. Come on over here and take a look. I see a lot of these videos online, and very rarely do they show somebody's foot up close on them. John Deere promotes their twin touch pedal system here. So the way this works is you have a forward pedal and a reverse pedal. Advantage John Deere would tout is I can move my foot back and forth between the pedals without my heel picking up off the floorboard, so less operator fatigue. Okay, forward and reverse used a lot for going in and out of loader piles, and mowing, obviously, which these tractors are used for a lot. Let's take a look at the Kubota and their treadle pedal, a very popular transmission control system here used on a lot of different brands. Here you're going to have a forward pedal and a reverse pedal. You can see my foot pushing back here. Okay, reverse. So going in and out of the pile, I do have to pick my foot up off of one pedal to go to the other. I think operator comfort is an important part of using a piece of equipment, but familiarity is as well. So regardless of which system you choose, I think you'll get used to it with time and be happy. I do think the twin touch system is a little bit more comfortable, and operator fatigue is an important part of a buying decision. Most accidents that happen, fatigue can be a factor in them. So you always want to buy something that you're comfortable on so you can use it a long time without any operator error. While I'm sitting in the seat here on the Kubota, one other thing to take a look at is the 3-point hitch control differences between these brands. So right here, you're going to have your 3-point hitch control. See how when I pull it up, I let go, it bounces back to center, or push down, it bounces back to center. Kubota uses a hydraulic valve to raise and lower the 3-point hitch. A lot of brands do. John Deere uses it on some models as well. Something wrong with it. It's effective. When compared to the 1025R, though, let's come over here and take a look at what they use. They use what they call position control. Okay, and the way this works is more like a farm tractor in a sense, where I can stop it anywhere along the travel path of the control stick. It doesn't bounce back. Okay, so this uses a rock shaft in there and allows you, if you were doing precision grading or tilling that you wanted a specific depth over and over again, you get to the end of you're using it, you get to the end of your row, you lift it up, you turn around, you're ready to go back, you want to get that same depth or precision level, can drop it right back down to that exact same spot. Admittedly, not everybody uses the 3-point hitch on these subcompacts. There's only value there if you plan on using a box blade or a rear tiller, okay? And not everybody does. If you do, then the clear advantage is there to the Deere. If you don't, then it's not a factor in your decision, and that's fine as well. The last thing that's always pointed out a lot between John Deere and Kubota, that's been going on for a long time, is the carrier style. The carrier is this piece right here. On the Kubota, if you swing around, is this piece right here. Okay, this is the pieces that go into the bucket, if you will, the bucket carriers. Okay, Kubota uses what's called a skid steer loader carrier, or a universal carrier. To take your bucket on and off, you lift up on these handles, and then you tilt your bucket out. Okay. On the John Deere, they use what's called a John Deere carrier. A lot of videos out there call this proprietary encapsulament, where John Deere is trying to create a carrier system that only they offer, so you have to use them. It's very easy to take on and off. Okay, this is your carrier again. All you do is pull this pin and then tilt right out. So either way, you don't have tools. It's not physically demanding. It's very easy. Some things I just like to point out here are skid steer loader carrier is not standard equip over here on a Kubota. You do have to pay extra for that. It's an upgrade, just fine. It's worth the upgraded price. Their standard option is a bolt-on bucket, a pin-on bucket, I should say, rather, and is not as easily taken on and off. The John Deere carrier is standard on the 120R loader. Pretty much everybody gets it. And as far as capturing a customer to use one style or the other, this is more universal. This is more proprietary. Everything I've seen out there, as long as I've been selling, is if a company is making an attachment to replace the bucket up front, like a grapple, if you will, okay, or a blade, John Deere makes enough tractors that they're offering it with a John Deere carrier, okay. I've never run into a situation where I'm looking for a front attachment that you couldn't find it for the John Deere, but you could for this carrier style. So it's important to note. Price wise, I've also never seen any real price gouging going on. I know that's something I've seen out there a lot of times is it's more expensive to buy attachments that use this carrier because it's not as widely used. It's a John Deere only thing. I haven't seen that in the price books or anything for John Deere or Frontier branded implements versus other brands. A lot of dealers will carry other manufacturers or have access to them, and I haven't seen a big price difference between the two. But maybe there's something specific out there I haven't gotten my eyes on. Either way, I think it's very easy. So just to understand the difference there a little bit. If you want to come on back up front here, some of the new stuff to go over on the Kubota, kind of front to back here, it's going to be their quick attach system. Okay. So their loader pops off very easily, like you've probably seen in other John Deere videos of their loader basically taking itself off. Kubota's really upped it here and has come out with their own version of that you can take off the entire loader without leaving the seat. As you work your way back a little bit further, they've come out with a new seat that has suspension and armrest and a nice pad. Good upgrade, definitely necessary. From a comfort perspective, one of the biggest things I want to point out is their loader control joystick is now back here. For a long time, they were known for having it up here. It's much more comfortable back here. John Deere's been doing it that way for years, so it's nice to see Kubota recognize the advantages of that position. And they have a couple little things that actually add up here. So you have a tilt steering wheel, okay? It's a nice comfort feature. John Deere does the same thing, nice for multiple operators. They have a backlit display with a fuel gauge right in there. That's being pushed really hard, and that is a nice feature. And on the back of the tractor, they have a top link hook. Past renditions of this tractor, your top link just hung down low. On the new one, use it, lift it up, and then it hangs up top. So it's nice. It's not flopping around while you're driving around. So all those small things actually add up to a lot of big things. And of course, the loader removal and installation, that's a very big thing. I certainly don't want to minimize that. Over on the Deere, one of the new things they have this year that they haven't had before is what's called a third function hydraulic. So you can now get a kit that's marketed by Deere that allows you to run hydraulic lines to the front of the tractor. So you can use hydraulic angle blades, grapple buckets, 4-in-1 buckets. If you want to be able to do more than just lift and tilt, now we have the option to run lines up here for additional functions. Long overdue and much appreciated. So That's going to be something that's the same, but for both brands now. But for a long time, Deere was missing out on. Digging into it a little bit deeper here, I want to focus in on a couple of things that really impact the ownership experience. Okay, I watch a lot of these videos and they get into all the specs and everything like I just did and the features. I want to talk about a couple of small details that actually impact you when you're using the equipment. So starting at the front, one of the things that always surprises me is the shape of the bucket. Okay, if you notice in the Kubota how it has the squared off edges here. Okay, always surprised that a lot of brands do this. Deere does it on some of their size buckets as well. Disadvantage here, though, big reason is that the dirt sticks in these creases. Okay, when you have a bucket full and you go to dump it, these elbows, if you will, dirt sticks in there, so it doesn't fully dump. Whereas over here on the 1025R, what you'll see is Deere uses a rounded bucket. Okay, this is a smooth edge. So when you go to dump the dirt, it has a smooth edge to slide out. It doesn't have a crease that it's getting stuck in. Small detail, but definitely impacts the way a lot of people are using this tractor, which is for loader work. Another detail that affects the operator while they're in the seat is what's called a bucket level indicator. On the John Deere, they have this rod right here, okay? You can see right here is a nice little twisty pretzel piece of metal, okay? And an adjustment bolt right here. The way this works is when you choose your bucket level, set it on a flat, even ground, you can move this inner rod, okay, and adjust it so that the elbow rests right in the elbow of this pretzel piece, okay? Then when you're out there scooping and you need to have the bucket level, you don't have to guess. From the operator's seat, you're going to be able to see down here and see that the elbow is resting in the pretzel piece, okay? It's also nice that because you can adjust this, sometimes people want to do more than just use a level bucket. Sometimes they want to do back dragging, okay? And they want to back drag at the exact same angle every time. So you could actually tilt it down like I kind of have it now and adjust it so the elbow rests when it's at that angle that you want for back dragging and use it for that angle. So it's an adjustable bucket level indicator, if you will. On the Kubota, their bucket level indicator is this sticker right up front here. Okay. So two things with that. That's really only giving you an indicator of when the bucket is flat, not able to create different angles or pitches of the bucket, okay, and recreate those angles or pitches. The other challenge with it is if you're sitting in the seat, it's not always easy to see that sticker. So depending on how much you're using the bucket, that's something that you need to be tuned into is what's the shape of the bucket? What's the width of the bucket? How can you tell is the bucket level or not? It's a big reason that people buy these, so stay tuned into that. Another spec that people compare a lot between these brands is bucket lift, okay? And they actually lift pretty comparably. I mean, they're within 15 or 20 pounds of each other. And in the grand scheme of things, that's not that big of a deal. There is a spec here that a lot of people aren't tuned into its meaning, that is meaningful, and that's breakout force. Breakout force is when you go into a pile of mulch or dirt, okay, and you go to lift up, its ability to break out. How much weight can it break out of that pile of dirt, okay? So can it lift when you drive into something, or do you have to back out before you can lift the bucket up? It really helps with getting a nice full bucket. Their actual lift capabilities, similar, but the breakout force on a John Deere is 35% higher. They're looking at just under 1,000 pounds over here and just over 1,300 pounds over here of breakout force. And that is a tangible, impactful spec to you using the tractor. So be tuned into that between other brands as well. Obviously, I'm just talking about these two today, but breakout force is an important spec if you're planning on using a bucket a lot. Engine access is another point that I see in these videos a lot that different brands talk about. So on the Kubota, let's go over that real quick. Sorry, right over here. To open up the Kubota hood is very easy. Push forward on their hood guard here, okay? And then they have a latch right here that you pull on, and then it lifts forward, okay? Access to the top, there's the latch. top of the engine, easy to get to. So over here on the John Deere, you're going to take a key or some sort of poking device, reach right underneath here. This is going to be your hood latch. Okay, push in on that, hood comes up. All right, now most of your main service points here are already accessible. You don't even have to pop the hood, frankly. You have your oil filter, oil dipstick. Can you see these here? Dipstick, yellow, oil filter, black right here, fuel filter separator right here. All right, oil fills right on top, air filters right on top. There's no reason to really have to get in here. You can get to your radiator screen for cleaning. Everything for your day-to-day is easy to access. Now, if you need to get into it a little bit deeper, how do you do that? All right, let's take a look. See this yellow latch, this little twisty piece here? I'm going to turn it, pull it out, all right? And then all you do is slide back, and the side panel comes off, all right? Very easy, quick. I mean, I'm not pulling any tricks here or anything. I'll even show you how to put it back on, okay? You line up the back. There's two T-pieces right here. Just slide it up here, drop that into place, and look up front. Line up that, slide down. That's it. Puts in, clip it. It's the same on both sides, okay? So easy access to the John Deere as well. And when you take off the side panel, you actually have a lot more 360 access to the engine than with the Kubota hood, which when it is up, there's still limited access to some of it. But it is a nice hood, easy to latch and unlatch. Put this back up here. Another spot here I want to focus in on is operator station. I mean, that's where you're going to be spending most of your time. So let's talk about a few little differences here that actually add up to a lot, since this is where you're at. All right. So the steering wheel is going to be standard on both of them. All right. Where are the levers and handles? Okay. You have your loader joystick here, adjustable armrests. When your arm is on the edge, it's easily reachable. Down along the edges here, you have four-wheel drive. All right. Loader lockouts right in here. Your and 3-point hitch control. Okay. Another feature here in the operator station to make special note of is the lights. These are standard equip on a 1025R. They're adjustable. They rotate. Okay. This is really nice because on both brands with the headlights on, as soon as you start using the bucket, you cannot see anything from those lights. With these, you get yourself a little peripheral, get it where you're aiming on those twilight hours that you're using the tractor. So again, standard equip over here is these lights. On this side, we have high-low range, PTO selectors right down here. So one of the differences between these brands that I'll point out is Kubota puts a lot of their controls right up here on the fenders, okay? And they tout that as easier access. It's also easier to bump into them and accidentally switch between them by having them up there. So probably 6 here, half a dozen there. But some of the John Deere controls are down by the seat on purpose so that you don't accidentally touch them. These are controls that you don't use frequently, so you don't need to have at your fingertips. High-low, on the other hand, is very accessible. 3-point hitch control is very accessible, and loader control is very accessible. We're going to use a PTO switch here that's toggle style. All right, so if you're mowing using a snowblower, very easy on and off right up here by the steering wheel. Very easy access. Let's hop over real quick and look at the Kubota. Okay, it's important to me that you see both these controls. So they're going to have their PTO selector right here on the fender. They're going to have their PTO engagement down here. So they're not using a toggle switch. They're using down here. This is how you turn on and off your mower deck. On and off the snowblower is this handle right here. All right. Again, they don't really have anything down in the crevice of the seat, which pros and cons go along with that. Don't need to be stated again. This side, you have high-low selector, 4-wheel drive, 3-point hitch control, loader. There's a lot going on over here. Loader lockout. Okay, that's what this little knob right here is. So this is all very updated on Kubota. It's important to get a close look at it. Last thing I really want to focus in on is the big update to Kubota. Okay, and that's their quick detach loader. So their loader is going to have a couple knobs and switches back here. If you kind of take a peek, try to stand right behind me here so I can point out a couple different things here. You're gonna have a latch here that you unlatch, okay? And this handle right over here is gonna lower the kickstands that you'll see in other videos, okay? And if you can you walk around here to this side and show some of this linkage that runs down here? This is controlling the stand, if you will, okay? So this comes down, has this locking mechanism right here that you would unlock, and then it lets the legs drop down. These are the springs that are then raising and lowering the legs as well, okay? You'll notice they have a 2-point loader stance here, okay? 1 point on each side. Take a look at the John Deere now. On the John Deere, there's no latches or anything for the stand. It brings itself down. That's actually what this big bar is right here. Notice how it loops around here, okay? It doesn't have a 2-point stance for where it touches on the ground, okay? It's going to more evenly distribute the weight of the loader. That's important to note because a lot of people, when they're taking these off, they're taking them on and off in their yard and they're parking them. With only 2 points of contact over here on the Kubota, if your yard has any soft grass or you leave it out there for a couple of days, those 2 points in the weight of the loader are eventually going to have it start to sink down into the ground. With the John Deere having this bar across the front, more evenly spreading out the weight, when you go to pull back up to it, you're not going to have to worry about any settling having taken place. That's important to be aware of, I should say. Also, don't have all of the linkages and everything that you saw on the Kubota to lower that stand. Again, it lowers itself as you take it off. You don't have to lock and unlock anything. The only components you have to lock and unlock are right back here where the boom and mast meet, and you have to do that on both brands. And I don't see a strong advantage or disadvantage between either brand on that system. It's pretty standard fare there. Yep, that's a great shot of the John Deere. And then if you take a look right over here at this latch right here, that's going to be the Kubota lock and unlock, and they're both good designs. And the last thing I want to talk about here is over on the other side. This is a big deal, and Kubota deserves a lot of credit for it. They've come out with a single point hydraulic connector. So essentially, once you take your loader off, you can lift up on this handle, and all 4 of the hydraulic outlets are disengaged or engaged just by lifting this handle, and this whole block comes off. It's got a nice little resting spot for it here, so you can put it right here for storage when you're not using the loader. Hopefully this is something John Deere comes out with in the future. You can tell a lot of the upgrades Kubota came out with on this new 80 series, they were taking notes from John Deere. I definitely think that this is a feature that John Deere needs to take notes from Kubota on. It's a great feature and should not be minimized in any way. Over on the John Deere, to show you how we do it over here so you understand the comparison fully, over on the John Deere, when you take it off, you have to disengage each of these couplers separately, okay? And in order to do that, I have to get off the seat of the tractor, okay? And that's going to be something that, as you look at other videos that really dig into these loader comparisons more in depth than I am here, there's lots of videos out there to show them going on and off from all kinds of different angles. Take a look at them. They're good. I've watched them. This is a fact. You have to get off the seat to disengage these. Over on the Kubota, you can do it all from the seat. You just lift up that handle, rest it in the loader frame, and drive away. So big advantages there. They've come out with a good system, a good response to John Deere's quick release loader. So hats off to Kubota. They've made a lot of improvements. Hopefully, I've done a good job at leveraging the 1025R and the 120R loader as well. I do think there's a lot of value points here that John Deere gets right, and it wins the race for a lot of people. If you have any questions, give us a call at Deere Country Farm and Lawn. Again, my name's Patrick. Thanks.